Okay, so we're going to do some examples today on finding an angle. Last lesson we did finding a side. Today we're finding an angle in a right-angled triangle. Alright, so we're starting off with just being given a statement and then working out how are you going to find this angle over here. Alright, so it's like any other equation. You've got to get the theta that we're looking for. It says find the size of angle theta, and that's what we're looking for. You've got to get the theta by itself. So to do that, you have to get rid of the cos. So you have to come to the other side and do the opposite operation of cos. And the opposite operation of cos is inverse cos. So if you look at your calculator, you have on your calculator your sine, cos and tan keys. Now if I hold that a little bit closer, you can see that in yellow, above the sine, cos and tan keys, you'll see sine with a little -1 above it, cos with a little -1 and tan with a little -1. So on your calculator, opposite operations are often on the same key. The ones in yellow above, you have to press the shift key before you press that key to have it working. So in other words, if I wanted to do inverse sine, and that's in yellow, I have to press shift and then the sine key, and it comes up with what I need. So we're going to practice with the calculator in a minute. So get the theta by itself, get rid of cos, come to the other side and do cos with little -1 up the top. We read it as inverse cos. Then you've got to make sure that whatever's here is in brackets. Okay, that's how the calculator is going to work. So if I want to do this on the calculator, I'm going to press shift cos, which brings up inverse cos. Then we're putting in the 0.76. And now I'm going to close the bracket at the end of that, like that, and then press equals. Now that's the answer it gives me, so I'm going to write that down. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. Okay, now when I get that answer, remember that with our calculator for trig, we've got to have D for degrees on the top there of the screen. That's for degrees. So that means any time that you use the sine, cos or tan keys, or the shift sine, shift cos, shift tan, it's always dealing with the angle in degrees. Okay, so our answer here is in degrees because we're finding an angle. So you can put a little degree symbol above that. Now, it says here that we're doing nearest degree. So we want the nearest whole number of degrees. So you can draw your line after the whole number. This is 5 or more, so this number of degrees here is going up by 1. So our answer is 41 degrees. All right, this next question. Again, we're looking for theta, so we want to get theta by itself. We're solving an equation. So we have to get rid of sine. We come to the other side and do the opposite operation of sine, which is inverse sine, and make sure that this all goes in brackets. Now, this one's a bit trickier to enter, but you can still do it. Your screen must look like this before you press equals. So we're going to be pressing shift sine. So it's shift, sine. Okay, now, on this one here, we've got a fraction. So we're going to press the fraction key. All right, and it's ready for us to enter what it says. Now, on the top, I've got √3. So I'm going to press the √3. So I've got that on the top. Cursor's still sitting up the top. So we've got to go down arrow. Cursor's now on the bottom. And we have a 2 on the bottom there. So press the 2. Now right arrow out of the fraction and press your bracket. And that's what it needs to look like. Now we can press equals. And it gives you 60. Nice whole number. So we write 60 and degrees. So we don't need to round that one off because it already is in the nearest degree. Okay, the next question here we're doing to the nearest minute. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get there. All right, first part of the question, we have tan A equals 15/7. We've been asked to find angle A. So we're going to get rid of this and take it to the other side. And the opposite of tan is shift tan or inverse tan. So we're going to enter this on our calculator so you know what to do now. Go ahead and do it if you can. So we're going to press shift tan or inverse tan. And we want a fraction key now. And I'm going to put 15, down arrow 7, right arrow, then close my bracket, press equals, and that's what I get. Let's write it down. Oh, we're not going to write that down at all. Forgot what we were doing. All right, I'm going to leave that on the screen, so don't write that down. All right, now remember, that's in degrees. But this question has to be in degrees and minutes, so what we're going to do is press the degrees key. It comes up with that answer. So that's what I'm going to write down. Okay, now what does all that mean? So we have degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so this is minutes, and this is seconds. It's like time. That's why we often use this key for time questions as well. We're rounding to the nearest minute, so we're rounding to here. This, if it's more than 30 seconds, if it's 30 or more seconds, then we go up by 1 in front with the minutes, okay? If it's less than 30 seconds, the minutes stay as they are. So this one's definitely more than 30. We've got 59.18 here. So this minutes will go up by 1 and become 59 minutes. And the degrees will stay, and that's your answer. 64 degrees, 59 minutes. All right, looking at the next question. We've got a diagram this time. We're finding theta to the nearest degree. We'll get to that at the end. So to start off, we're going to label our sides. This one here is the hypotenuse. This one here is the opposite side. O and H is sine. So we're doing sine theta equals O over H. Let's put our numbers in. Sine theta equals 10 over 18. Then remember what we did a minute ago. So we're getting rid of sine now so that theta can be by itself. From over here and do the opposite of sine, which is sine with a little minus 1 there. And then we're going to put that in our calculator and see what we get. So we're pressing shift sign, fraction key, 10 over 18. Let's see how we're going. So shift sign, fraction key, 10 over 18. And don't forget you've got to right arrow out of the fraction first, then close the bracket, and then press equals. Now this one is to the nearest degree. So this is already in degrees, so I'm going to write that number down. So that's already in degrees. We're going to the nearest degree, so we're going to the nearest whole number of degrees here. So you can draw your line after the whole numbers. That's 5 or more. We're going up by 1 in the degrees, and it's 34 degrees. So let's look at the next one. We're going to the nearest minute on this one when we get to the end. So we'll start by labelling our sides. This is your hypotenuse. This one's your adjacent side, so we're using cos. So cos theta equals A over H. Put your numbers and things in. Cos alpha is our angle, equals 81 over 95. Then we're going to get rid of our cos. Come over here and do inverse cos of 81 over 95. Make sure it's all in brackets. Now let's go to the calculator and see what we get. So type it in. We're doing shift cos. I'm not showing you this time, see if you can do it. Shift cos, fraction key, 81, down arrow, 95, right arrow, close your bracket, equals. Now, because we're in minutes, remember when you get to there, you now got to press your degrees minutes key up here. That one. Press it. That's now degrees, minutes and seconds. Write it down. Okay, so remember we're looking at the nearest minute. So we're rounding to here. This is less than 30 seconds, so that's going to stay. So we're going to stay with our minutes. And obviously keep our degrees, and that's your answer, 31 degrees, 30 minutes. Okay, looking at question 5. Now, these two are word problems. So we're going to have a look at drawing the diagrams for these. First one is a stretch of freeways. That's a road. Here it is. It rises 55 metres for every 300 metres travelled along the road. So, let's say we go 300 metres from here to here on our road. That means in that time, it rises 55 metres. Okay? So you often hear of towns being at a higher elevation. That means the elevation above sea level, and they're at a higher level because you've travelled up a lot of roads to get to there. All right, now, it says find the angle at which the road is inclined to the horizontal. Well, this is your road along this way. The horizontal is here, right? We're looking for the angle between the road and the horizontal. So let's put our theta in there. When you're looking for an angle, let's just call them theta, it's easier. And let's label our sides. So this is our hypotenuse, and this is the opposite side. So sine theta equals O over H. Put our numbers in. Sine theta equals 55 over 300. Now we're getting theta by itself. Get rid of sine. So now we're doing inverse sine of 55 over 300. So let's go to the calculator. I'm going to cut a step out here in a minute. So just go in shift sign, fraction key, 55, down arrow, 300, right arrow, close the bracket, equals. Now, anytime they don't say what they want the angle as, it's always to the nearest minute. Okay, so when you get your answer, I want you directly now to go straight to that degrees, minutes, seconds button there. Press it. Okay, and then I want you just to look at it. So in most tests, you'll just look at that on your screen. You'll look at the seconds, which is 50.32. That's higher than 30. So our minutes will go up by 1 and become 34 minutes. So we've got 10 degrees, 34 minutes. And that's what you'll write down straight away. If you find that's too much and you want that other line, you can write it in. There's nothing to stop you doing that. It's just, that's the way most people will do it when they get used to it. All right, let's look at the diagram for number 6. We're doing a ladder. We all know what ladders do by now. They lean against walls and buildings. Okay, so our ladder is 20 metres long. Put your 20 metres on. It's leaning against a building. The ladder reaches 16 metres up the building. So that's 16 metres. They want you to find the angle of inclination of the ladder to the building. There's the ladder, there's the building. We want the angle between them. So it's the angle up the top there. That's where the theta is going. Now let's label our sides. This is your hypotenuse and this is your adjacent side. So we're using cos. Cos theta equals A over H. Put your numbers in. Cos theta equals 16 over 20. Now we're finding theta. Get rid of the cos. So it's shift cos 16 over 20. So let's see how we go on the calculator. Shift cos, fraction key, 16, down arrow, 20, right arrow, close your bracket, equals. It doesn't tell you nearest degree or nearest minute, so we're going nearest minute. So press your degrees key, and it gives you that answer. Now let's see if we can go straight to the nearest minute here. We have 11.63 seconds. That's less than 30. The minutes will stay as they are. So we've got 36 degrees and 52 minutes. That's our answer. Okay, so we're going to come back in the next video and try a few more examples on this work.